Alright guys, I just wanted to share my results. So pretty much I've been doing a lot of research lately on batteries, and it's a nightmare out there. I want to buy batteries for my electric bike project and for my robot project and projects. So for all my robots I'll need batteries. And I've been in the hunt for robots batteries for a long time, and in the hunt for batteries for an electric car project. The very best batteries on the market are called NMC batteries. Um, those are lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide, LiNiMnCOO2, NMC. These are the best batteries on Earth to date for the longest life, most stable, and safe. They're used in all Tesla cars, um, except like the old school ones that were first to come out. It's also used in all Tesla Powerwalls, etc. It's the battery of choice. Um, it's the very latest and best chemistry you can get. Now, the problem is, how do you actually buy that? There's a lot of scams going on with batteries. A lot of the eBay sellers that are selling like 100 pack of lithium ion batteries have like 30 feedbacks, which is a brand new seller, and all those feedbacks, if you actually read them, are fake. I've seen a lot of that. Also, AliExpress is highly recommended for e-bike batteries and stuff, and I've read a lot of YouTube comments that say a lot of those are fake, and people get hit and miss with that, and they're not the genuine name brand stuff. So I'm like, how do I get name brand NMC batteries? Even if you buy batteries straight pulled out of a Tesla car, they could be from older Tesla cars. They could be batteries that have been used up. They're all pre-owned. And batteries that are damaged, whatever. You don't know what you're getting. So how do I get brand new quality batteries that are NMC? Well, it turns out Sony VTC6 batteries are NMC. I've seen this from multiple sources. And they're used for the vaping communities. Now, I was trying to find out where you'd actually buy this. A lot of the stuff on eBay is reskinned and fake and stuff. There's a lot of counterfeit stuff coming from China. So I've been told don't trust eBay. I've been told don't trust AliExpress. So I'm like, well then who do I trust? Those are like the normal places I'd shop for most stuff, especially electronics related. So I did some homework and somehow I found lionwholesale.com. Lion wholesale. And they have genuine Sony VTC6 batteries, which are the NMC. Um, they're the very best batteries on earth, and they're $5.79 each, but they have bulk discounts. If you buy over 100, it's $5 each. So this is what I'm gonna end up buying. I'm gonna buy 156 of these at $5.04. So it's gonna be around 800 bucks, and that will be enough to power an e-bike, for sure over little more than 40 miles without really pedaling at all, even through extreme terrains and a heavy rider and possibly towing people. Um, the standard distance in watt hours per mile of an e-bike is 20 watt hours per mile. I figured 40 watt hours per mile, so that's half the standard. So we're figuring older batteries, a real heavy rider, real crappy uphill steep terrain the whole time. Worst case scenario, I'll still get 40 miles on it. But if it's brand new batteries, you're helping pedal with it, the terrain's not bad. I mean, you might be able to get 80 or 90 miles then, which is awesome for a battery. Another good thing about the NMC batteries is, unlike crappy laptop batteries or something, these things will actually put out 30 amps continuous, which is really, really good for a single cell to put out 30 amps plus 3,000 milliamp hours, which is top of the line. It doesn't get much higher than that for a battery. I guess the very highest batteries on Earth are like 3,500 milliamp hours, and they usually put out a lot less amperage. So these have the real high amperage output at 30 amps plus the real high capacity. They're the whole shebang. best of the best. Now, the reason it says Sony/Murata is because Murata is a company that purchased Sony's battery division. So the batteries that you buy might say Sony on it, they might say Murata on it. And that was explained down here. Okay, please note these are transitioning to saying Murata on them due to Murata buying Sony's rechargeable battery division. Blah, blah, blah. So that's all legit. Here it has a full spec sheet, which is so rare to see on all the scammy sites like AliExpress. They don't say all of this. I mean, they're giving the full specs, everything. Maximum continuous discharge current. Maximum continuous discharge current without temperature cut. The style, the height, the diameter, the weight, the capacity nominal and the rated capacity, the voltage, the whole thing. Very thorough, excellent specs. That's what you want to see. That's not scammy. The stuff I was seeing on AliExpress and eBay was super scammy. They wouldn't give any detailed specs on the batteries. And a lot of those batteries they're selling are counterfeit, like made with who knows what's inside and then claiming to be something else. They're called reskinned batteries. They'll just use some crappy battery and put the Sony name on it and sell it to you. And I've seen tons of YouTube videos showing actual exposing of these type of fraudulent battery packages. So there's so much fraud in the lithium ion industry, and it's very difficult to find reputable sellers. And you can't buy it directly from Sony, for example, because Sony doesn't want the liability of shipping out batteries to people. They just sell products. They don't sell individual batteries. No big companies, Sony, LG, Panasonic, none of them actually sell their own batteries. So you have to get it through a distributor who takes the liability away from the big name brand company. So you want the name brand company's quality products, but you can't buy it from them, so you have to buy it through a distributor, and half the distributors are frauds. So it's like, what the heck do I do? So you have to find a reliable distributor. There's no other way. I've done my research. You can't trust eBay. You can't trust AliExpress. You have to find a good distributor. So lionwholesale.com. Why do I trust them? Well, their website's very professional. They have lots of professional warnings, blah, blah, blah. And vapeunderground.com is a forum for vapors, and they are raving about them ever since 2015. So this company's been around for at least 4 or 5 years. Everyone's had good experiences with them on Vape Underground. Everyone had good experiences with them on Google. 98% positive of 533 reviews. I actually went through and read all the Google reviews. Super legit, not fake reviews or anything. They have a really reasonable shipping policy that's very professionally written, no misspellings, unlike a bunch of scammer fly-by-night websites where it'd be full of misspellings and ghetto stuff. This is all very professionally done and very reasonable return policy that shows a lot of intelligence, very well thought out, very well polished. Their homepage itself has little reviews playing through, people just saying nice stuff about them, which is a professional nice touch. I know that's not like game changing, but it's all the little signs combined that gave me this really trusted vibe. I also saw a long Reddit post about them, where people were raving about them as well on Reddit. Right here, a bunch of people on Reddit were really impressed with them. They throw in free stuff. This is about a year ago. Just going on and on, everyone saying how much they love them, and they're one of the top 3 companies out there that sell batteries. So for all of these reasons, different people, well written, these are not fake. You can tell when you read it, these are legit Redditors. Everything sings true. So I can go in confidence. I'm really confident knowing that this is a legit website that's been around for a lot of years. Their prices are very reasonable. And these are real, genuine batteries that are tested. This company is well known and prides themselves for testing their batteries thoroughly to make sure they're genuine. So whoever they get their batteries from, and we don't really know that, that's their trade secret, they thoroughly vet everything and make sure that they're giving you the right stuff. So I I feel very confident going this route. And these will give me very high output batteries, which I could use for cordless drills, I could use for whatever. These types of batteries last for like 10 years. If you have an electric car, these NMC batteries are supposed to last 10 years. So this is like a long-term purchase. As long as you charge them slow and don't charge them too full and follow all the charging and discharging rules and don't discharge them too quickly, blah, blah, blah. This will be a long-term smart purchase for you. So yeah, I trust it, and I'm going to actually put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to buy 156 of these batteries. This is the very best batteries you can buy. Very highest quality for any robotics project, electric vehicle project, electric bike project, cordless drill, battery replacement project, you name it. These are the best of the best. The absolute best of the best. And this is coming from somebody with years of experience researching everything there is to know about batteries, even how to make your own batteries, all the different types of batteries. Right here is the golden ticket if you want quality batteries for any type of project. Drones, quadcopters, anything. These are the highest energy capacity, safest chemistry, longest lasting, strongest, best batteries in every single possible category. They're even stronger than LiPo batteries, even more powerful. No, maybe some LiPo batteries can actually do a higher discharge rate, actually. But if you put some of these in parallel, it's going to add up quick. Let's say you did 2 in series, 3 in parallel. They could each put out 30 amps each. 3 in parallel means 30, 60, 90 amps. So 3 of these in parallel gives you 90 amps. That's a huge amp output. These things are really potent and can handle major high power applications. And super lightweight. They're just the best. Absolute best. This is the best money can buy. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. These are 3.7 volt batteries. That's their nominal voltage or their average voltage. 3.7 times 13 gives you 48.1 volts. You want the average voltage to match the voltage of your motor. I have a 48 volt motor for my e-bike. And then the 12, was it 12 in series or 14 in series? Let me make sure. Not series, I meant parallel. Okay, yes, the 12 in parallel was chosen to get the capacity I'd want. So I did 35 amps as my amp hours as my capacity requirement. The math is super complicated. It's hard to have this memorized and just say it off the top of my head. Let me just show you. Okay. So we chose the lithium battery route. We want 18650 NMC batteries. 18650 is the most common battery cell size. It's used in all electric vehicles, most electronics projects, etc. There are different sizes, but that's the most popular for a lithium-ion battery. NMC is the most popular, best, most quality lithium battery on Earth. It's lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide, LiNiMnCOO2, NMC. Best battery on Earth to date for longest life, most stable, and safe. It's used in all Tesla cars and used in all Tesla Powerwalls. It is the battery of choice. These output around 20 amps safely, continuously, per battery. But it can go up to 30 amps pretty continuously as long as you have cooling. We need 48 volts, so we'd want 3.7 volt nominal batteries to be stacked in series, 13S. So 3.7 volts times 13 is 48.1 volts. We have a 48 volt e-bike conversion kit, so we want a 48 volt battery pack to go with our 48 volt motor. It will have 54.6 volts at a full charge. A full charged lithium battery is 4.2 volts. A medium charged, or the average charge, is 3.7 volts. That's called the nominal charge. 4.2 volts times 13 in series is 54.6 volts. So that would be the highest voltage we would be throwing at the motor. Then we want to get that elusive 1680 watt hours, or around 42 miles in rough terrain with heavy riders pedaling very little and towing people. Since 20 watt hours per mile, by towing people I mean another biker behind you could grab your shoulder and you kind of pull them when they're tired, or they could grab a little rope tied to your seat and pull them, just like helping out the other riders. Since 20 watt hours per mile is the standard watt hours per mile for an electric bike, and we figure 40 watt hours per mile is what we'll be using because of rough terrain, towing, very little pedaling, aging batteries, these types of things we want to take into account. So we're taking a generous deduction of the standard watt hours per mile, because these probably are figured based on like flat terrain and stuff. We want to go through mountainy, uphill terrain and stuff like that. We want to plan for the worst. So we do 40 watt hours per mile is our estimated to give us plenty of generous wiggle room. We don't want to be taking chances with this thing running out of batteries, in other words, for a trip. So we want to get 40 miles, 20 there, 20 back or whatever. 40 miles is a great range in my eyes for an electric bike. To get the 1680 watt hours we desire for a 48 volt in series, it's 1680 divided by 48 volts. So watt hours divided by volts equals amp hours. So that's 35 amp hours is our total desired capacity. So we need 35 amp hours. A battery has around 3,000 milliamp hours, or 3 amp hours typically. The particular battery we're choosing, the NMC Sony VTC6 lithium-ion batteries, has 3,000 milliamp hours as its nominal rated capacity. So 35 amp hours total divided by 3 amp hours per cell is 11.6 batteries in parallel to get the 35 amp hours. But you can't have 0.6 batteries. You can't have a battery cut in half. So you round up to 12 in parallel. So it would be 12 in parallel and 13 in series. So I've shown you how all that math was worked out for the total amount, the total stacking of the batteries. Note that if we were to buy 2,500 milliamp hour battery cells for this, which is a lot more common for lithium-ion batteries, it would be, those are for cheaper ones though, it would be 35 amp hours total divided by 2.5 amp hours per cell. So it would be 14 cells in parallel, which would come out to 182 batteries if it's 13 in series times 14 in parallel. That's 182. So anyways, we use Sony VTC6 NMC batteries that have 3,000 milliamp hours, so we need 13S12P, or 156 batteries total. The best batteries on the market are Sony VTC6 cells that are NMC, and they have 3,000 milliamp hours. These are other names of highly recommended batteries, but they're not as good as the NMC Sony VTC6. And I believe from other things I read that these are both NCA batteries. And if you come over to my other notes on battery making, NCA is the second best type of battery. These are lithium nickel cobalt aluminum oxide instead of lithium nickel manganese cobalt oxide. And NCA batteries are the battery type that was used by Tesla for its cars until they switched to the NMC battery type, which is superior and more stable with longer lifetime. Regardless which of these batteries chosen, NMC should be chosen. The cost is 20 grand for a battery pack for a car and weighs 1,200 pounds, and it's 800 cells of 18650 form factor. I think it's interesting. 800 cells will get you a car that can drive 300 miles. I'm buying right now 156 cells, which will be for an electric bike. So that gives you an idea. An electric bike would be about 1/8 of a car, and it will get you 40 miles, maybe up to 80 miles. So for an electric bike to get you the 300 miles of this car, you multiply that by 3, so it would be 156 times 3, be 468 of them would get you the same distance as the car for half the number of batteries. So that makes about sense, since a car would be heavier. Plus we're using really conservative estimates. But anyways, we're just full of facts here, aren't we? But you kind of need all the facts. This is complicated. A lot of information was consolidated in the things I just said there, so I think it's worth saying. So that's pretty much my pro advice on how to buy batteries. I just say Sony VT6 all the way. It's the best battery on earth. And every single other battery has downsides. This one has no downside. Like LiPo is kind of similar. It has good capacity, high amp output range. But guess what? Highly volatile, very prone to bursting in flames, and it only lasts like a year or two. Like it doesn't have a 10-year lifespan like these do. These VTC6 batteries or NMC batteries are supposed to be good for 10 years. Yes, during the 10-year period, their total rated capacity will start to climb down as they get older. But if you are real careful to charge them slowly and not discharge them too far and not charge them all the way full, but just a little bit under full, like 4.1 volts instead of 4.2 volts, these various little hacks and tips and tricks can enable you to greatly expand the lifetime of the battery by babying them like this. If you try to charge them as fast as possible every time, they actually don't last as long, and their rated capacity of 3,000 milliamp hours will go down quicker, so that they'll only hold like 2,000 milliamp hours or 1,500 milliamp hours over the years. So they will lower in the total amount of time that they can power your device as they age. So you want to take good care of them, charge them slow, etc. So this is a big investment for me, but my dad said he's buying them. He wants to have a lightweight, smaller battery pack that's top of the line and can get really decent range for biking trips as a family on kayaking or camping trips. And he thinks the electric bike concept is really fun and cool, and you can go much further this way if everyone has electric bikes. So his long-term plan is for us to have like 2 electric bikes, and we can take turns when we get tired riding on these electric bikes. So right now he wants to see me finish building 1 electric bike with the upgraded batteries that are lithium, because he saw that the big lead acid batteries I used for my first electric bike build were kind of impractical because you have to pull them on a trailer and they weigh 150 pounds for the same amount of capacity that these batteries that I'm about to buy now have. They're the same power, but the weight of this will only be like 15 pounds as opposed to 150 pounds. So it's a tenth the weight for the same power. But the lead acid batteries solution is still very viable because it's quite a bit cheaper. For about $20 per battery, you can buy 12 volt, 8 amp hour SLA AGM batteries from Cabela's, which are used as like trolling motor batteries or boat batteries or like hunting batteries for animal cameras outside. Those batteries are about $20 or $30 if you buy it with the charger included. And 12 volts, 8 amp hours is pretty darn good for $20. And in order to get the capacity that we're talking about that we want to buy for this, you would need 4 of these in series, get your 48 volts, so 12, 24, 36, 48. So you'd have 4 in series. And then in parallel, you would have another maybe 4 in parallel, so that it's 8 amp hours for the first group, 8 for the second, 8 for the third, 8 for the fourth. So 8 times 4 is 32 amp hours capacity. We wanted 35, so that's pretty close. So that's 4 times 4. 4 in series and 4 in parallel. 4 times 4 is 16 total batteries. And that's what I bought. 16 total batteries times 20 is 160 times 2, like $340 to get this 40-mile range. And that's very conservative. It's probably 80 miles if everything's working well and you're not in extreme terrains or extreme heavy riders and stuff. So that's a great route to go for really good range and everything if you build a little bike trailer to pull them on. But my dad didn't want us to lug the big heavy bike trailer every time we go on a trip. He wanted to just have the smaller battery pack that could just be tossed into a basket on the back of the bike or whatever. It's more practical, a little easier to deal with if you're transporting the bikes for long road trips. But if you're just looking to build an electric bike local for the cheapest price for amazing battery, amazing distances you can go for the batteries and super low prices, I really think that those little 12 volt 8 amp hour SLA AGM batteries are a great option, and not many people actually use that option. We're going to be returning ours to Cabela's because we don't want them, and we're going with the lithium ion instead. And since we only use them one time for only charging them to full and then only using like the first quarter, because we only ended up going a mile or two, they're still pretty much brand new condition, so I don't feel bad at all. If we use them for a year or something, that's a different story, but we only use them for the one weekend or the one day and only partial discharge, and they're good for up to like 1200 charging and discharge cycles. So it was like like 0.001% of the total like battery lifetime was sucked out of them, so they're pretty much new still. So they'll be able to sell them on to the next customer, no problem, provided that I make them nice and clean and put them back in the box ready to go. Some of them had some very minimal surface scuffs on them, so I'm planning to buff that out with my Dremel and polishing compound to make sure they look mint condition for the next guy. That's just a courtesy to the next buyer, so it looks totally new for them. It's not going to change the performance in any way. So I want to do a YouTube video actually showing my lead acid battery setup and my trailer setup and how all that works, and demonstrating the bike being ridden with those batteries before I return them. I think that would be a good idea, just to show people that's actually a really good route you can go depending on your needs. But if you're planning to transport the bikes cross country for camping trips and stuff, you want something lighter in weight. Unfortunately, it's going to cost my dad like $900 with tax to do that, but it's either pay $300 for a really heavy, clunky, hard to use thing, or pay $900 for something that's going to last for many, many more years than the lead acid batteries would last. And it's super lightweight and everything, and they're the best batteries you can buy, and they should last like 10 years, and I can use them for other projects when I'm not working on, or when we're not using the electric bike, which we probably won't use very often at all. And I'm planning to use them for Atom. These are going to be Atom's batteries. So that's exciting that my dad is basically making a huge investment into Atom, the humanoid robot, and he doesn't even realize it. But I don't need to convey that information to him, because this in no way damages our ability to have this electric bike for future family trips. The fact that I'm using it for Atom will actually enhance the lifetime of these batteries, since by using them for Atom and being interested in them outside of these types of trips, I'll be sure to keep them very well taken care of, always kept charged, stuff like that, so they're not just going to rot away in a box somewhere and start to self-discharge and not be taken care of, and end up losing a lot of their rated capacity because they have not been taken care of. So it's not unfair or anything like that, in other words. So I'm going in, let's buy it. We're doing it, guys. I'm selecting my quantity now. I just want to show you guys this part. The selecting of the quantity. This is that magic moment. I can't show you the purchasing, but selecting of the quantity, we can show that. 156. Let's do this. Okay, add to cart. This has been years in the making. And if you guys will recall, I actually was considering making my own batteries for future projects. But thankfully, whoa, I saved $117 over the regular price by buying in bulk. That's pretty cool. So actually, I can show this. So look at this. You saved $117. That's a really professional thing for them to show on their website. and it dropped the price down to 504, down from 570 something, because I bought 156 of them. So that's kind of cool as a feature that they're actually showing me that, making me feel good for having bought such an insanely high number. So the subtotal is $786.24. I know that's steep. I know I can buy stuff on AliExpress for way less. I know that a 5 amp discharge rate would be acceptable for an electric bike because I'm putting so many in parallel. That would distribute the load so that each individual battery in the group doesn't have to put out that much. So pretty much, since we're doing 13 in series, 12 in parallel, if each battery in parallel could only put out 4 amps each, 4 times 12 is still 48 volts, or 48 amps for the whole group that they can put out. Now 48 amps on a 48 volt electric bike system is 2304 watts, because 48 times 48 is 2304. So this is only a 1000 watt bike. That's more than enough, even with each battery only contributing, what do we say, 4 amps? Yeah, 4 amps. Which is totally safe for even like a laptop battery, can put out 4 amps, I believe. Even the cheap, crappy AliExpress batteries can put out 4 amps. But I'm wanting these 30 amp capable batteries because if you only put out 4 amps on a battery capable of 30 amps, that's even less hard on the battery, so these batteries aren't going to be challenged at all. They're not going to get hot at all. You don't have to worry about cooling at all. These batteries are not going to be even, they're going to scoff at that. So these batteries are super, super overqualified, and they're not going to get warm or anything. So you can totally waterproof them and heat shrink, whatever you want. You don't have to worry about like a cooling system or anything. So that's going to be really, really good to have batteries that are super like overkill. Also, these batteries will be capable of putting out way more for robotics applications where I may need a lot more than 1000 watts. So let's put it this way. Since we're buying 13 in series, 12 in parallel, 13 times 12, it's 156 batteries. Okay. Okay. The 12 in parallel at 30 amps each. 30 times 12 is 360 amps they could be putting out. Times 48 volts. They're capable of putting out 17,280 watts. That's insane. That is literally insane. They can do that continuously. Yeah. 17,000 watts. Cool. So anyways, 17,000 watts, boys. That's a lot of... Okay, so typical servo motor, MG996R servo motor requires 800 milliamps of current, which is 0.8 amps. And let's say we have like 300 of those. But then some of our motors are even bigger. They might require like 15 or 20 amps, like a large brushless DC motor for the bicep of the robot or something. But we're not planning to use brushless, but that just came to my mind because that's what those pull for like a really strong quadcopter motor. Those pull up to 20 amps. So let's just say like some of our big brushed DC motors for like the drill brushed DC motors might, for like the biceps or the legs of the robot, might pull individually like 40 amps, let's say at the most. So we're talking, let's just round it up to 1 amp each for the smaller motors, 40 for the bigger. Let's say we have 40 big ones, 40 times 40, that's 1600 amps. And then the smaller ones, 300 at 1 amp each, that's 300 amps. So 1600 plus 300, that's 2000 amps. And we just said that this battery pack I'm buying for the e-bike can produce amps times 12, 360 amps. Oh, that's not enough. What? Oh, it's not enough. Um, 360 amps. Oh, no, it might be enough. Because that's 360 amps at 48 volts. These batteries only require like 6 or 7 volts. So these batteries will put out 17,280 watts. That 1600 amps was for 40 amp drill motors. So that's 1600 amps for the drill motors. And then we said 300 of the servo motors would be 300 amps. But those are 300 amps times only 6 volts. So that's 1800 watts. And then the bigger cordless drill motor batteries, let's say those motors are 18 volts times 1600 amps. Oof, that would be 2800 watts. But no way we'd be using all of them at once. That's if like the whole body was straining, like doing a deadlift. And we could probably pull that off for like a single short burst for like a moment. But yeah, that's getting kind of extreme. So there is a possibility we would actually need even more batteries than this, maybe 2 of these, if the robot were to be doing some extreme physical stuff. But for standard use of a robot just walking around, whatever, I think this would be very, very much enough. So this is actually going to be enough for all of Atom, I believe, because we went with this really strong high output system. So it's best to buy the best and high amp outputting batteries when you're planning to use the battery pack for more than just the electric bike use. $786, that's not that bad. I actually saw a 52 volt 30 amp hour battery on eBay that was made by some guy in his basement for the same price. It was $740. So, and this is going to be way better than that, because this thing is capable of tremendously more amp output. This is the top of the line name brand. He was using Samsung batteries that can only put out 4 amps each. This is using Sony VTC6 batteries that can output 30 amps each. This thing is 6 times more potent at being able to burst amp flow and not challenge the batteries at all.